what's the title of it? I forget. It's something like
Jet Ski Paradise.
you can tell they're government operatives. They've got like evil in their eyes, hardcore. I mean, their real spirit is.
Getting in the agua for the pod.
Yeah, man. Go stay refreshed.
I'm like really envious of Tasmania because they've got the softest water in the country.
Is that true?
Yeah.
You've been researching.
Hard and soft water. Yeah.
Is the water in Sydney too abrasive for you?
Well, it's not too abrasive. It's harder water than Tasmania, but...
What are you talking?
And I'm really jealous of that.
Stop just saying that. What does that mean?
So hard water is where they've put all these different chemicals and, chlorines or whatever. And soft water is when they haven't treated it as much. And you know how you can tell...
Yeah.
You know how you can tell if water's too hard? Is if it's... Yeah.
I was gonna try to take a funny guess, but you just tell me the actual answer. You're autistic.
I was like, oh, we're actually giving input. I thought it was show and tell, not give someone else a turn and listen to what they think.
Tell me about it. How do you know if it's hard?
You put like soap or a detergent, and if the water doesn't make bubbles, then it's hard water. And if it makes the water really bubbly, then it's soft water. And
some interesting stuff.
We didn't speak for a week and a half. And
this is what you've been researching.
This is the result. Yeah, I've been busy. I bought a red cape. I've got a gold mask coming in the mail. A lot's been going on.
No, yeah, it's good to see you, dude. It's been a while.
Yeah, I've missed you.
Yeah, I missed you.
Yeah, you've been busy.
Yeah, I've been doing stuff. I've been going to strip clubs with my girlfriend. I've been doing everything.
Actually?
Yeah.
That's your big comeback move.
Yeah. It's true. Just taking me, dude. It's not the other way around.
I've never been to a strip club. Are they...
I hadn't either. They're pretty good, dude.
Yeah. So you can't compare if the strip clubs in Tasmania are different to the ones in Sydney.
Well, I can compare it from just an observation because there was like a really drunk, like probably 19-year-old in there.
Right.
And he was like to the bouncer, he's like, dude, I was in Queensland and I'm not even kidding, dude. The strippers here, he's like, they're better. Like, I was just like, all right, dude.
He's like, I hear this every single week.
But it's pretty funny because it's Tassie and I'm not in like Hobart. So it's like, if you're not in Hobart, there's like a bit of ice going around Tassie and stuff. And these dudes came in, they were pretty iced up.
Yeah, right.
And one of them was like, pretty much, he was like on the stage pretty much.
Whoa.
And was like finger gunning like all his friends and stuff. And he was just like, it was crazy. And he took his shirt off at one point. But it's also funny how long it took for them to kick him out. Why?
Did they not have enough bouncers, or was he being talked to by another 19-year-old?
Yeah, he's getting distracted. I think it's just like, they're like, well, they got some money. They're like, I think they're kind of like, because the strippers were like kind of going for them a bit. I think they're like, this might be a good bit of money here.
And then they realised that they spent all the money on meth.
Yeah.
Because that's not the first thing I think when I see someone on an ice bender. Is like, they look like they're ready to spend money.
Yeah. Look at this rich boy. Money bags over here.
Mr. Moneybags, that's what they call them.
I don't think they have much, but I think it's like they're gonna.
It's enough for a strip club.
Yeah. They're in the same economic bracket as me. But one of the strippers was like thanking me for my service. I think she thought I was like an army person. Because I was wearing like a bomber jacket.
Oh. And she thought that meant you were in the army?
Yeah, it's like, dude, I look way more like a school shooter.
Yeah. Maybe she was being ironic.
I think so, but then it was like, she might have been drunk. Because then she, like, kicked someone's drink over and she's like, sorry. And, like, kept walking. And I was like, can we give, like, all our money to this one? She, like, rolls.
It's going to the bartender. It's like, oh, the drinks are just so well priced here. Tassie sounds crazy.
It's pretty fun, dude. You should come down. You got to move down.
I'm not moving down. I'll go crazy. There's only one thing that I do in Tassie, and I literally just
What's the one
missed
thing?
it.
Dark mofo.
Yeah, you read in my mind.
Did they win you over when they were stealing all that deadly blood? You're like, these guys are cool, man.
No, I've always wanted to go to Dark Mofo. It looks sick.
Yeah, I was there, dude.
How was it?
They were sniffing up my blood. Nah, I went to Mona during it too.
Oh, sweet.
Fun. They had an exhibition by our heroes, the titular hero of this week.
Ai Weiwei.
Yeah, an exhibition by him.
And now the energy of the podcast just gets sucked out like...
Well, I think the book... Ni hao to all the Chinese people listening through the firewall. Keep fighting the good fight.
And follow us on Twitter. I hear you guys are getting really into it. That's fucked. This episode is going to be our most censored episode.
Yeah, we're going to be assassinated straight after this.
Yeah. Our book today is Ai Weiwei's memoir, 1,000 Years of Joys and Sorrows.
So it's about Ai Weiwei, who's an artist and a social activist. It's pretty much his life and the life of his father.
Yeah, because his dad was a poet who had ties to the Communist Party, and he was like in charge of...
His dad was like insane. Like I had no idea his dad was just like close with Mao and stuff. So the book's kind of set out, it opens with Ai Weiwei and his father are in Little Siberia, which is where they send political enemies. Because his father's seen as a rightist. And then through that, it goes back to his father's whole life. So his dad's this very celebrated poet. Maybe the most like famous Chinese poet, they say, of recent times. Like, that's mentioned a lot. And when I researched him, it was like, yeah, people love him. So I feel like Ai Weiwei really wants to compare himself to his dad in ways. And sometimes it's pretty funny, like... He goes to... Ai Weiwei gets imprisoned for 81 days, and he compares this kind of to what his dad went through. And it's like, his dad was, like, tortured for, like, 20 years.
81 days is not that much. It's kind of like people now going through, who just went through the pandemic and lockdown, being like, I guess this is kind of like, you know, what you went through, Grandpa, in World War II. I guess this is like the Holocaust.
It is funny. Like, the difference, like, his dad went through a lot more, right?
Yeah. Oh, completely. There was one thing where he was like, when they were in Little Siberia, it was so graphic in some points where he's like shoveling shit and like urine in like the soil and everything.
And it splatters on him and stuff.
Yeah, it's horrible.
They consider him a rightist, so they would do things where they would like have him in front of a crowd and they would all yell stuff at him. And then how crazy is the bit they like put a dunce's hat on him and they're like parading him through the town and stuff?
Yeah. Well, you know what got me with his dad was I found it weird how they would have, like, he had multiple partners and everything and different kids. And there was, I don't know if you remember this bit, he has a second child And then whilst that second child is being born, he just randomly falls in love with this journalist. And then until that moment, I was like, yeah, the dad is sick. And then I was like, wait, what? And then he proposes to divorce this lady. And then this woman, by the way, has like been supporting and this guy and his art, and like he's like, yeah, I'm going to be, you know, an activist. And she's like, I support you. And he's like, we're going to live in squalor. We're going to live in a terrible living situation. She's like, I support you. And then he's like, I think I'm in love with this journalist. And then the journalist turns him down.
Yeah. Because Ai Weiwei is kind of a bit strange with women too.
Yeah.
But one thing I found is funny, and I guess this is like a lot of people during the Cultural Revolution and stuff in China, they were previously like imprisoned and attacked and stuff for being too left with the government. Like they really fought for this kind of revolution, and then the revolution turned on them later. Mao would just like target people who were in the party if they just weren't seen as like hard enough.
Yeah.
Like he's still like the dad's like extremely left wing. And it's like and was an activist in ways like through his poetry.
And he's like, not enough.
Yeah. It's like, but then he's like, I think like you should be able to express your feelings in poetry. And they're like, let's chuck this guy in jail. Like this guy needs to
like,
go.
You know what? This is a little too personal. That's the thing as well in terms of the cultural differences in how poetry is received in China versus the West. Because here, if you do poetry, you're the biggest loser. But in China, that's a form of radical activism.
Yeah, that is funny. It's like the tough guys doing poetry. They're getting jailed and stuff.
Yeah.
One really funny part of the book is Elton John's part. So Elton John did a concert in China, and during his show he goes, these next couple of songs are dedicated to like an activist I really respect, Ai Weiwei. And then he immediately, like, after the show, is, like, banned from performing in China. But the part that I thought was so funny was Ai Weiwei. It's like my friendship with Elton John is kind of, like, I see it kind of the same way as my dad's friendship with Pablo Neruda. And it's like, I think Pablo Neruda's a little cooler than fucking Elton John did.
But Ai Weiwei is also, he's a bit not obsessed with pop culture, but he does have an appreciation for it on a higher level. Like one of his favorite artists is Andy Warhol.
Yeah, he loves Andy Warhol.
And it was like the first book that he read when he moved to America in the 60s. And I thought that it was kind of crazy because Andy Warhol is very commercial, pop, light. You know, Andy Warhol's making like pornos and sexy drugs and rock and roll, and Ai Weiwei is like, the most serious political activist. He's like, I think Andy Warhol's my inspiration.
Andy Warhol is kind of like the opposite of communism, though.
Yeah, that's true.
Because it's like that ultra, like, it's like the commercialization of art, like.
Yeah. Well, that also makes sense why he likes Elton John. He probably loves One Direction. Yeah. And Justin Bieber.
Yeah, I was going to say, didn't believe it. Yeah, I did.
That's what they should have put in his detention 15 hours straight. He's
retweeting like Euphoria clips and stuff now. Like, how good is his show?
Well, he's a Twitter whore as well. So,
it's so
is he
funny.
really just like a Gen Z like e-girl? I think he's just.
I think a lot of it is like he kind of is, and then it's just like he looks really cool and arty. So it's like if he didn't look like that, would you just be like, oh,
yeah?
Because he's like, I spend 8 hours a day on Twitter. Like he's proud of that. Did you see? I watched a clip. He's just like doing Gundam stuff. Gundam style. Did you watch that?
I have seen that. It's pretty good. Well, the reason that they said the reason they detained him was because he allegedly didn't pay his taxes.
Yeah.
Which is also Like a very Gen Y, Gen Z thing to do. Like, put me in detention. Yeah. It was 15 million yuan. They made him pay that back, which is crazy. Which is
and he's
$2.4 million.
And he's saying that it's like not true at all. They're just like, you're gonna have to pay it. And he's like, can I fight it in court? And they're like, nah.
No.
Like,
but just you know how he paid it?
Yeah, people gave him.
He crowdfunded it.
Yeah, dude, he's the ultimate Gen Z. Just on GoFundMe. He's like, after that, he's like, also, I kind of want to do a trip around Europe and stuff. He's like,
I will promise to do a beautiful sculpture in Hawaii if.
What do you think about his art? Like,
I like it.
It's very cool.
It's very big.
Yeah, well, because it's so big, it's like, it's weird to me when it's like you're not fully making the art. Like, you have, like, he's like, and then like all the woodwork, the carpenters came in and started work. It's like, what? So
I'd love to have a team too.
Yeah.
It's like Conan.
Yeah.
He's got a team of people making his stuff, but there can only be one Conan.
But one of the lines in it that I thought was so funny too, and he just says it like briefly. I don't know how good at painting he is, because
he's terrible.
Yeah, he's like at art school. The artist was like, "This is like one of the worst paintings I've seen," and he was like, "Yeah, he was a pretty good teacher and stuff." And then he keeps being like, talking about how he doesn't really paint much, but he's like considering himself like a painter. Like, it's ages before he does anything else. And he's like, yeah, I don't want to get... He's like, I'm scared to get too into painting because I don't want to be like...
I don't want to be too good.
And I'll be like this tortured artist. It's like, oh, you don't want to be the greatest painter of all time. Like,
well, I looked up, the teacher was this guy called Sean Scully. And I looked up this guy's paintings and he sucks.
That's so funny. He's terrible.
He's awful. I think with the carpenter stuff, I feel similarly that it is kind of weird to have a team, but then I read that it is kind of cool that he does have these big teams because a lot of the work in China is like automated. So he's actually hiring people to do handmade crafts and like be tied back to tradition and stuff. So when I found that out, I was like, yeah, that's cool. Make 1 billion sunflower seeds out of concrete. I hope it takes 20 years.
So for that piece where he made, like, how much was it? It's something like 20 million sunflower
something
seeds.
Insane. It's something crazy.
And it was at the Tate Modern.
Mm.
And as part of that installation, they have a camera set up and you can ask him any question.
Yeah.
Did you watch the people asking him questions?
No, what was it?
Like, a lot of them are asking pretty serious questions and stuff. But the first question is so funny. It's just this English guy. And he's just like... he's like, hey, Ai Weiwei. And he goes, what do you think of this? And then just starts dancing.
That's so good. What did Ai Weiwei do?
It doesn't show his response to that.
Oh, man. Really?
Yeah, it's so fun. I really thought when he was like, what do you think of this? The way he said it, I was like, is this guy going to just like pull out his dick? Which would be so fun.
You reckon he's going to pull out his dick? What do you think of this?
Hey, Ai Weiwei.
What do you think of democracy now? How's this for freedom of expression?
Did you end up watching his music video that he put out about his imprisonment?
No, I didn't.
So he made this music video called Dumbass.
Mm.
And it's about showing what it was like in his imprisonment, like the music video for it. And it's a rock song. It's like a punk song.
Wait, he sings in it as well?
Yeah, it's him singing. And he wrote the lyrics and stuff. It's actually awesome. And then it's just like him walking with these guards next to him, like how they would make him like shower with the guards next to him and stuff. And then halfway through, it goes into like he's whipping the guards and stuff. And then it's just him walking in a suit with just these chicks, with like these hot chicks with like G-strings on and stuff.
That's crazy. What?
And then it ends. His son's shaving his head, and then the next shot is like him, like dressed like as a woman with makeup on and stuff, walking next to the guards, like, and he's like walking like a woman, like strutting and stuff. It's the craziest shit ever, dude. It's I'll share it with you now.
That is mental. He is like, okay, after watching that, I would have imprisoned him too. I'm really upset. It's too much expression. Pull it back.
That is a lot of expression. It's hard to work out if he's like, because at first I thought he was like a real funny guy, but then reading the book, he's not, like, he's pretty serious and stuff.
Yeah, I think that was one of the issues I had with the book, was that I thought, because his dad's a poet and all of his poetry is so beautiful and lush, his writing style is so detached and so
I like it though.
Dry.
Yeah.
Well, it's almost like it's so matter-of-factly that he thinks he's being objective, when I'm like, no, like, you're an insanely partisan person. This is not matter-of-factly at all.
It's like that the whole way through, pretty much, like, just so he's like talking about like his dad, like all this like crazy shit he had to go through and stuff, and like all these people getting murdered and stuff during the Cultural Revolution. And it's like very unemotional, like the way he presents it all. It's just like, and then when he's in prison for 81 days, it's like very emotional.
It flips really quickly.
He's like, it was torture. It's like, what the hell?
What happened to your where's the Zen?
Where's the Zen?
Where's the Zen? I wanted to ask you, it is kind of crazy to think of how much impact he has. I'm not saying it's because of his background, but if he was born into a peasant family and was doing all of this stuff, would any of it really cut through? Or do you reckon he had to be born into being his, father's son to actually react against and reject these institutions to make an actual impact?
Yeah, I think maybe. And it definitely gave him all these connections and stuff. Even when he was in America, when he's younger. Like, Ginsberg and stuff were like, shit, you're his son? And like, we're hanging out with him because of that. Like, I'd read that they were friends. It's like, oh, that's like it's really seemed like the only reason Ginsberg was friends with him.
Which is mean. I don't know if, that's more of a comment on Ginsberg than...
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy how Ai Weiwei spends all this time in New York schmoozing with people, and then he decides to go back to Beijing, and that's where I guess he starts really building up his works. But I feel like he kind of had to go to China to make that impact. Like, if he just stuck around in New York, like, what would he have been doing?
Well, his New York work, he's like, yeah. Because he talks about it a little bit, and he's like, yeah, I got a code and I put a condom on it. It's like, all right, dude.
Exactly.
And he's like, it was a comment on like the AIDS crisis and stuff. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
I think I have to go back where things are really terrible to start commenting on that.
I have to go back to where it's like impressive that I'm doing art. Like,
it wasn't revolutionary enough in New York where they were just like, ugh, another one.
Yeah.
I think that's the one thing about him that maybe made me a little cringy about him, like, because I really enjoy his artwork and I think his story is fascinating, but I do get these glimpses into his psyche in the book where I just do think he is a bit egocentric, maybe too much for my liking.
I think he is a little bit.
Yeah.
But it does make sense that he would be like someone like that. Because he talks so much about how he's also like, it's like, and all the guards are like, you're too powerful. You're an enemy of the Chinese Communist Party. Like, they jail a lot of people. Like, it's not like he's the only one that's like a political prisoner in China and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think it was like that whole famine period, that whole Great Leap Forward period, which was a couple of years. I think I read somewhere it was like 20 million people died.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. Like, he's making cool stuff, but this is just one guy.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, he's very like...
He's getting all the good gigs.
Yeah, I know. He's using China's like history of trauma, the people's trauma, to cash in as like an art celebrity.
Is Ai Weiwei the Hannah Gatsby of the Chinese art world?
And he's like, I'm doing it all for you guys. And he's selling like these artworks for like $10 million.
And all the local Chinese artists are just like disgraceful to the craft. The purists.
Yeah.
It's not even good. It's not even original.
Yeah, all these people. Everyone, they're just...
You've been doing that artwork for 12 years. He's a hack.
They're like, I get it's a good story, but like, it's not. It's not art. It's not an artwork.
On a conceptual level, I mean, sure, if it's your first time going into an art gallery, I mean, I guess structurally it works. Yeah. But I mean, to call it the best artwork of all time, really?
He is the art sells for a lot. Did you see how much some of them
Nah, how much?
So that one, which is one of his earlier works, where it's just a picture of him dropping the urn.
Yeah.
I think that went for like 1.6 million US.
Just the picture.
Just the pictures of that.
Yeah. I'd love to sell pictures of me breaking things.
Just breaking stuff, yeah.
It's me in an IKEA. The I'm Sorry Chronicles. It is pretty crazy. I always find it interesting when the documenting of the product is more valuable than the product itself, because his whole thing is about information, archiving, documentation.
Yeah. Well, he like doesn't care when structures get destroyed and stuff that he built, because he's like, it was like there's photos of it and stuff.
But he was really upset when they destroyed his studio.
Yeah. Well, that's because that was really. Yeah, he's like, I don't care about this other stuff that other people are trying, but that's my studio.
Yeah. Ego.
That's true.
He's fine. Nah, I like him. I do like his art.
I like the part where he like talks about one of his artworks, which is just he's like, yeah, it was just like I had this sex worker and these women with me. And he's like, and then we all got naked and took a photo together. And it's like, what are you doing? It's like,
I don't know if he respects
me. Do you reckon he's about to get me too?
I'm surprised he hasn't been, to be honest. Like, between him and his dad and their disrespect towards women.
They know the Chinese government knows that wouldn't like turn people against him.
Yeah, they go, this is useless. We told them about Harvey Weinstein. People didn't blink.
On the back of the book, it has quotes about the book from different people. And it's like Snowden.
Oh, Edward Snowden.
And he writes this like really cool.
What does he say?
He's like a hero and like all this stuff. And then the second one's Elton John. It's like, and he's like, he's a great artist. Like, it's got nothing to it.
Elton John's every. That's awesome. It was the third. Barack Obama. A pinnacle moment in Chinese democracy.
It's Barack Obama, then Timothy Chalamet. It's just like...
I heard Timothy Chalamet is actually going to play Ai Weiwei in the movie they're making about his memoir. Those detention scenes. Hooey. That would be crazy. They just only, if they made a Hollywood version of Ai Weiwei's memoir, it's just the New York scenes with him and Ginsberg.
It's just so...
They make it like that, what's that gay movie where that's the lesbian one, where he's like, call me by your name.
Call Me By Your Name.
They aestheticize it like that.
Have you read about... I hadn't read much. I think this is popular, though. But the guy... It's really popular. Like, everyone listening will be like, this is...
Have you heard of this show
you
called
also
The
probably won't
Simpsons?
know. Do you know about the guy, Arnie Hammer?
Nah.
Who's... It's the guy that Timothy Chalamet's fucking in Call Me By Your Name.
Okay.
He got Me Too'd because he's a cannibal.
Actually? Why? Because he didn't ask the corpse if he could eat it?
No, he would send women things like, I'm gonna eat you and stuff. And apparently, like, I think he was like, would bite women during stuff. But he's like, dude, it's insane. And I was like, what the fuck? And I was reading about him and it's like, yeah, he's from this like oil
from a loving family of cannibals.
They're oil tycoons. They're like trillionaire family. It's like his great-great-grandfather even has like a Wikipedia page. Like they all have like Wikipedia pages. Like they're famous.
Yeah.
Like as like the richest people in America.
Is that how he got into acting?
Yeah, I guess. He just was like, he's like a multi-billionaire. He doesn't need to act.
He doesn't need to eat people if he's got that much money.
Yeah, dude, he's got to eat people.
Like cannibalism's born out of necessity. If he's got a full fridge, that's rude.
It is kind of like cultural appropriation of...
For
like some cultures eat them. Yeah, but Dracula. He was doing it way before.
Jesus. Should we leave it at that?
Jesus. All right. Laters.
See ya.